Hey there, welcome to Terror Recaps. Today I'm gonna explain a survival thriller film, full of action, horror and suspense, titled The Ledge. Brace yourself and enjoy. The movie unfolds with stunning shots of the Dolomite mountain range as climbers tackle its peaks. Then the scene shifts to Kelly and Sophie, two friends preparing for their own climb up the sheer side of a 10,000 feet mountain the following morning. Kelly reflects on a past climb she took with her now deceased boyfriend as she removes her locket. Suddenly four rowdy men pull up in a jeep, grabbing the girl's attention. One of them is Josh, who takes interest in Sophie, and later tries to hit on her with a cheesy pickup line. He invites the girls to a party for drinks but is turned down. The scene then shifts to Zach, one of Josh's friends, who mentions that locals have said they're the only ones climbing as it's already iced up there. Zach also expresses disapproval of Josh's attempts at picking up girls even though he's engaged. Josh rejoins the group and starts making crude jokes, causing tension with his friend Taylor. It's pretty evident that Josh isn't a great friend and has aggressive personality. Back at the cabin, Sophie tries to convince Kelly to have a drink with the guys, promising to return on time. After some hesitation, Kelly reluctantly agrees. In the evening, the girls are seen sitting around a fire with the guys. Sophie is chatty and teases Josh and the others, while Kelly is quiet and sipping her drink. When Sophie teases him for his peculiar watch, Josh boasts of Ritmo Mundo Quantum, a watch with a personalized locator beacon, and the two engage in light banter. She also informs the group of their plan to climb Antelope, to which Taylor replies that they too plan to tackle the mountain. But the group is taken aback when Sophie mentions they plan to climb sheer. A while later, Kelly gets up to go to bed, but Josh grabs her arm and tries to keep her there. Kelly dislikes the sudden action. And when his friends intervene, Josh lets her go. With Kelly gone, Josh proposes that they all ascend the sheer with the ladies tomorrow. Sophie then giggles in his face, asserting that they lack the courage to climb the face and would prefer taking the simple path to reach the peak. At her cabin, Kelly watches an old video of her boyfriend Luca. This is Luca's fifth ascent of Antelope with Kelly, who will be making the climb for the first time. She recalls a rock climbing gym where she was getting trained with Sophie, and also met her boyfriend Luca for the first time. She then falls asleep with tears in her eyes. Back there, Sophie already had too much of alcohol and is making out with Josh. As she moves to relieve herself, Josh's friends try to stop him, reminding him of his fiancée Amy. However, Josh retorts that he will not sleep with just one woman for the next 40 years. He tries to kiss her. As Sophie protests, he starts to force himself on her, venting his anger at being mocked earlier. Sophie screams as Josh tries to assault her, but Sophie manages to scratch Josh's face. While one of them gets busy tackling Josh, Sophie frees herself and runs away. Then his friends start running after her, as they don't want her to press charges. But the pursuit takes a dramatic turn when the guys catch up to her and Josh shoves her over the cliff. Sophie plunges to the ground, getting her spine cracked on a rock below, but she remains alive. Meanwhile, Kelly awakens to the noise outside and sets out to find Sophie, discovering the campfire deserted. The group encircles a pleading Sophie and debates their next move. Ray prepares to call the police, but Josh warns that no one will believe it was an accident due to the scratch on his face, bite marks on Zach's hand, and skin under Sophie's nails. Josh persuades his friends into believing they must kill her to protect their own lives. He then crushes Sophie's head with a big rock, handing the rock to Zach and urging him to strike as well. He even forces Ray's hands into the blood, making each of them equally responsible for the crime. Afterward, Josh asks them to clean her nails and toss her further down, making it appear as if she was under the influence and attempting to climb. Unbeknownst to them, the crime scene is being recorded by Kelly. As they proceed, she unconsciously emits a scream, ensuring her location. Josh notices her hiding afar with a handheld camera recording them, and they all pursue her. Kelly flees and hides in the forest, while the guys separate to search for her. Kelly then managed to escape to her cabin, encountering Ray, who didn't stop her. She grabbed her climbing gear and headed for the Antelope face, hoping to outrun the guys who were not as experienced as she was. As she starts to climb, the guys catch up to her. Taylor tries to climb after her. Although he is not as quick as Kelly, he manages to catch up to her several times, but she kicks him each time. Eventually, he loses his footing and falls, breaking his leg with a grotesquely visible tibia. Josh gets angry and threatens Kelly that he would come after her. The guys takes Taylor back to their cabin, and instead of immediately taking him to the hospital, Josh gives him some painkillers and instructs him to call for help if they don't return within 24 hours. Josh is determined to get his hands on the camera that holds evidence, enough to incriminate them as murderers. It doesn't even matter to him if anyone dies in this misadventure. Meanwhile, Kelly searches her bag to see what gears are available, but it's not much. Her ropes fell and she isn't dressed in the right gear. However, this is a fight for her life and she will not give up. The guys find Kelly's phone on the ground as they climb and Josh takes it. Then he rushes to the cabin telling his friend to stay behind, while Ray and Zach have a conversation. Ray feels guilty about what they're doing, but Zach reminds him of a past incident involving a bully from their childhood and tells him to stay focused on the plan. When Josh doesn't return, Zach goes to look for him and finds him coming out of the cabin in a rush, and scolds him for not waiting for him. The men then pick up their pursuit of Kelly as she continues her climb. Kelly keeps her focus and remains calm, using advice from Luca to strengthen her mental game. She recalls Luca saying that climbing is like playing chess, where one should focus on strategy instead of physical strength. So she takes a moment to check her map before proceeding, while the men with better supplies and gear are close behind. During the climb, Kelly encounters a snake that crawls over her hand, but she stays calm until it's gone. Her hands, now unprotected by gloves, are starting to hurt from the climb. So she stops for a drink of water, but her bottle drops. Josh taunts her by drinking from his own bottle and using her phone to post fake statuses on her social media account. Kelly tries to ignore him and dusts her hands to keep climbing. She then encounters a rope that would help her reach a higher handhold, but she can't reach it. Kelly pulls a wire from her bag and uses it to reach the rope, executing a maneuver she learned from Luca's lessons. Meanwhile, Josh and his friends are taking the easier route to climb faster and higher than Kelly, who is staying on the more difficult side of the mountain to avoid them. Eventually, Kelly finds an old tent and stops for a break, but Josh and his friends catch up and are positioned above her, blocking her way. Josh throws her a rope and asks her to tie the camera to it, promising to let her go unharmed, but Kelly is smart and ties a note to the rope instead, which makes him angry. As a result, she can't but spend the night in the tent. Inside, she finds some useful items including a knife which she keeps for potential use. After fixing up the tent, Kelly gets some rest and has some food. It is then revealed that Kelly and her boyfriend visited the same spot a year ago to climb the mountain. However, while Kelly was unaware, her boyfriend had other plans and proposed to her. Unfortunately, their happy moment was short-lived when he lost his footing and fell, not surviving the fall and leaving Kelly heartbroken. During the night, Josh throws a bag filled with rocks down towards Kelly, but she manages to keep herself safe. Later on, Kelly is abruptly woken up by Zach, who descends to grab her. In the scuffle, Kelly grabs the knife and stabs Zach, causing both of them to cling to the rope for their lives. Ray and Josh pull them up, but when Josh reaches Kelly, he takes her necklace. Kelly quickly pulls out the knife and cuts the rope. She miraculously grabs onto the tent as she falls down, but is forced to spend a freezing night on the side of the mountain. Kelly is able to hang on to her bag, which has the camera, but Josh now possesses her necklace with the ring and has access to her phone, discovering all her secrets. Zach is injured and requests that Josh calls for help, which Ray agrees to. To calm the situation, Josh agrees to make the call and leaves. That night, as the three of them are sleeping, Zach confides in Ray that he doubts Josh. He tells Ray that Josh never actually made any calls, and that when Josh went to the cabin to get his gloves, he saw him coming out of the cabin looking flustered. Zach believes Josh killed Taylor when he was inside to prevent him from calling for help. With this in mind, Zach and Ray hatch a plan to activate the locator beacon on Josh's watch, but their attempt is foiled when they realize Josh is still awake. Josh once again threatens them, and they all go back to sleep. Later on, Zach, with his injured leg, prepares to relieve himself, but is then struck on the head by Josh and pushed off the cliff. Kelly sees him falling to death. Later on, Ray wakes up and Josh lies to him about sending Zach to find Taylor. Ray convinces Josh to send him to talk to Kelly about the camera and her safety, and Josh agrees. When Ray meets Kelly, he apologizes for what happened to her friend and offers her his food. He tells Kelly to hand over the camera and promises to tell Josh that he pushed her off the mountain, but instead, Kelly reveals to Ray that Josh killed Zach and she saw his body fall from the ledge. Ray initially doesn't believe her, but Kelly asserts that Josh will kill them both no matter what. Subsequently, they continue as planned, with Ray presenting the camera to Josh. Upon inspecting the camera, Josh discovers the missing memory card. Meanwhile, Ray attempts to call Taylor's phone, only to be shocked upon hearing it ringing in Josh's pocket. Josh is caught off guard, leading to a scuffle between the two. In the end, Josh wins, setting Ray on fire and ultimately ending his life. With all of his friends gone, Kelly is ready to take on Josh. Luckily, Kelly spots her knife nearby and moves cautiously to retrieve it. On top of that, the sight of a snake sparks an idea in Kelly's mind. Josh prepares to descend to confront Kelly, and when he confronts her, he demands to know the location of the memory card. Kelly outwits him by claiming the card is in her bag within a crevice. Josh inserts his hand into the crevice in search of the card, only to be bitten by a snake. Kelly battles with Josh and ultimately gains the advantage. Enraged, Josh clings onto a rock but is losing strength. Kelly seizes the opportunity to retrieve her necklace from him and quickly trigger the emergency beacon on his watch. She then delivers the finishing blow and watches as Josh falls to his death. Kelly is happy that her nightmare is over and that she's successfully retrieved all the evidence, including her necklace. As the sun rises, she continues her ascent to the summit, finally completing the climb she had tried to do with Luca. The movie ends as the rescue helicopter roars in the sky. Thanks for being with us. Please subscribe for more interesting recaps like this.